What does addiction look like? Today we are going to find that out. Today I have a special friend with me on a new segment of the podcast. This is a gray area where we just talk about a controversial topic, a random topic, or anything about life that can be a good topic to talk about. But today we're going to find out what addiction looks like. I have a good friend here that has experienced what addiction looks like, has a story to tell, and is ready to get that story out there. So today I'm introducing to you.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
So today we're going to be going into a little bit of his story, a little bit of what he's gone through, a little bit about just the things that he's experienced, how God has kind of brought him back to his roots, and just all the things that he's seen in his road on addiction. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then we can go into a little bit about your story.
Okay. Well, my name's. I've been going to the house for about 4 years now. That's how I came across Jonathan and some other beautiful people. Originally, I'm from Alamogordo, New Mexico, small town. I'll kind of get into that. I think why that kind of, fueled some of my addictive tendencies, I guess, or fueled some of my pastime, what we would do there in said small town. Give my life to Christ at a very young age. Grew up going to church. My dad is a God-fearing man. My mom as well. So I grew up going to church, grew up going to prayer meetings, grew up doing vacation Bible school. Checked all those boxes as a kid. And that being said, I've always known God. I've always known the Holy Spirit. I've always been in touch with that realm. But I've wavered, and I've almost used it as a crutch, knowing that I can come back anytime I want to. That's a little bit of background there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I got a beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. She's 2 years old. My wife loves me unconditionally. I don't know why. God knows why, but
Yeah, good woman, man.
Yeah, she loves me. But yeah, that's a little bit of background. I live in Godly now. I used to live in Bedford, but been in the area about 7 years now.
Awesome.
So,
yeah. How old are you now?
I just turned 30.
Just turned 30. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't look like it, bro. You look
Thanks,
pretty
bro.
young.
A couple 6-7 months ago, I looked a little bit more worn out. You would have think I was about 35, 40. So
Yeah. Well, that's cool, bro. That's cool to hear. A lot of people that I run into, they do have a very similar story to that. Grew up in church and had the background of God, but kind of had the crutch to be like, oh, I can always go back to this. That's kind of always been the excuse. But, we were talking a little bit about before this, and the first time we met, well, not the first time, but the first time we actually had a conversation, right? At the men's breakfast, we were kind of talking a little bit about just each other and getting to know each other a little more, and I got to know a little bit about your story, and you were just telling me that you had a story to tell, and a story that you wanted to get out there that you've been through. So what is a little bit about your story? You are not too far off from recovering from addiction, correct?
Yeah, I've been clean and sober for 5 months now.
Okay. How's that been going for you these past 5 months?
I think what comes with not using drugs and not using alcohol, you gain a sense of clarity, and that's a whole nother obstacle that I'm going through right now, is cleaning up what I used to give excuses to and what I would justify for people. Because I was down so bad, I would be off of a bender or off a night of doing drugs or whatever I was doing, and I would justify all my actions. I would say I did this because I was drunk, or I did this because I was high, or I've done this and this. And that's how I would justify it to my wife, to my friends, to people. And I always made excuses for myself, constantly excuse. So I did that for a lot of people in my life too. People that do bad things to other people that I shouldn't be around, people that I don't agree with on what they're doing. Constantly making excuses for them. So that's a piece of that just comes. I think and I'm learning that. I'm learning what comes with sobriety and that clarity. I'm trying to understand what that's like. I'm having some hard conversations with people that I love. And the reason I'm doing it because I do love them and I do care about them. A lot of people are looking at me differently because how I react certain news or how I react to certain situations now. In the past, it would have been a reaction of like, I don't care about this. I'm gonna go party. I'm gonna go do something. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
Right.
talk to you no more. It just a mess. And now I'm learning that clarity. I'm learning how to talk about my feelings, which that was never a thing ever. So
Yeah. That's good,
but
bro. So you're learning how to be vulnerable.
pretty much,
You know, just
yeah,
show a different side of yourself.
yeah,
So you're kind of finding out a new person about yourself right now.
100%.
So that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea? I mean, this is kind of, maybe this is a little bit off topic to where we're going right now, but do you feel like you have any idea of what kind of led you to addiction?
Yeah, I guess I can kind of start with where I grew up.
Yeah.
I live in a small town. There's nothing to do really there, bro, but party and go to school, play sports.
Yeah.
So growing up, middle school, high school, I played sports. I was active. I was quote unquote popular, I guess, whatever. Hung out with a group of kids that was drinking or that was smoking weed, and that's how it started. There's not much other activities to do there. So I did play sports. Had a pretty big group of friends, I guess. But I started drinking probably when I was 10 or 11. Started with my cousins actually. And then I started smoking weed actually probably around the same time, about 12 years old. And 30 now. So what's that? 15. That's 17, 18 years of drugs and alcohol. I don't know if that's where the addiction started, but it was a gateway to open up to like, I can drink, I can smoke, I can do this.
Sure.
And I always, it's silly, but I always prided myself when I could stay up all night, I could drink all night, I could do something all night and still quote unquote take care of my responsibilities. But that was out of guilt. That's out of me again justifying my behaviors the night before and trying to put on a show the next morning that I can still take care of my daughter or take care of my household or do what I have to do or go to work.
Right.
Again, all justification. But yeah, to your first question, just of where it kind of started, I think that's it. I just got introduced to things very young. Nothing against my family or friends. It's just in my head is what you did back home. If you weren't cool, if you didn't do this or that, and I don't know. That's kind of where it started, and it probably starts with me somewhere chemically. I think I do have ADHD. I think I do deal with some depression, anxiety, and at a young age, I wasn't on medication. I wasn't on anything like that. But when I would drink or when I would smoke or I would do drugs, it did feel some sort of void or did feel something for me chemically. I think it just made me feel better, and I didn't have to deal with the other emotions or whatever that was. Because after you wake up after doing drugs and alcohol, you feel pretty horrible.
Yeah.
That next day.
Yeah, I've been there, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's no different with drinking. People think you're just hungover, which you are. You feel like crap. You're dehydrated, but the anxiety and like the depression that comes with that, it's real. It's not.
People don't talk about that one.
Yeah,
though.
people are. I'm just tired. No, you don't want to answer your phone. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to deal with anything. You know what I mean. So that's a whole nother I don't know realm, I guess. But
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. So what I understand about addiction, my understanding, like I said, I know family and friends that have gone through addiction as well, like extreme addiction, and it runs in my family. Like alcoholism runs in my family. So I see addiction, I see the traits of it,
Yeah.
and I know what it looks like. And so what I understand about addiction is it's more of an escape than anything.
Yeah.
When you do have that vice or the drug or the alcohol, it's not out of the high. Like I don't need to do this to get high. It's just, I need to do this to get away,
Right.
and feel some type of peace for a short amount of time.
You say that. Yeah.
And that's what I understand about addiction. And we were talking before this, and you said like recently you've been kind of a little more connected, been going to groups, been staying in church, staying connected with the community. And I heard this person speak about addiction not so long ago. Amazing. It blew my mind away what he said. He said sobriety is not the answer to addiction. It's connection.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the way that the world treats it, the way that the world treats addiction is consequences. And there's studies across the world that proves like consequences to addiction or making these drugs illegal. It doesn't only make it worse, but it creates kind of a barrier between the person that's addicted and between real society.
Yeah.
Because now you have a record. Now you have things that you can't do because of the choices that you've made, and it disconnects you from connectivity even more.
Right.
So it just leads to more addiction. But that's kind of the way that the America and other countries too treat addiction with certain drugs. Not necessarily alcohol. Sometimes alcohol too, but yeah, but that's what I understand about addiction. It is kind of just like an escape.
Yeah. So the way I can describe it is I would put my addiction, my drug addiction. Well, it's a lot to unpack. They go hand in hand. It would start with drinking. When I drank, I would drink. I didn't have a limit. I never was a guy that, hey, let's go have a beer and watch a game. No, if we're gonna go, we're gonna go. Don't invite me out unless you want to end up, blacked out or, like. The only reason I would stop is maybe we ran out of alcohol or it was time to go to bed, whatever.
Right.
So then it would progress into calling someone I ain't not supposed to call to get another drug either delivered or I'd go pick it up. And this was a cycle I fell into over and over and over. And when it came to the addiction part, I was addicted to drinking because I wanted to go to the next level of doing drugs.
Gotcha.
So I was addicted to that feeling, addicted to going places. Because anytime I went somewhere, it was an opportunity to go drink and then do drugs. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I never really wanted to stay home. I always wanted to like do whatever outing was scheduled or whatever the case
You
was.
knew the ultimate outcome.
Yeah, I was trying to reach that outcome of like I can go hide or I can go. There's a lot of people around, and I can sneak off to the bathroom. I can sneak off to go take a shot while no one's looking. I can do these things, and it's a lot more concealed in essence. Yeah. And so the first part of that is the addiction part. You're just constantly putting that in front of everything else, and I would justify it a lot, like I was telling you earlier. I would justify doing these things because I didn't lose my job. I would pay my bills. I say a good dad, but I wasn't being a good dad because I was lying and doing horrible things behind my wife's back and my daughter's back, obviously. But I would consider myself a good dad. I would consider myself a pretty decent husband because I was checking 9 out of the 10 boxes. But on a financial level, I would make sure my bills were paid, but the rest would go to drugs and alcohol. I would make sure that I always had that set aside, right?
Right.
And then on the level of my family members and stuff, I would only agree to go do things and be places because if there was that window to go drink and do drugs.
Yeah.
So to boil down what I think addiction was for me was constantly thinking of how I could go partake in what I wanted to partake in. It's completely selfish, completely self-centered, but just trying to find windows of opportunity to go do things that I was not supposed to be doing. And you put that feeling and you're chasing that rush and you put that feeling and that rush in front of everything. That's your goal. That was my goal. But I was pretty good at hiding it. I felt like I was. I say that, but I was constantly just hiding from my wife, hiding from people that loved and cared about me. But on the other side, there was people that knew what I was doing, and I would expect them to hide it for me too, which is completely selfish and completely self-centered. Again, I would expect family members and friends to, no, don't tell anyone. But it got to the point I tried to keep all those secrets with so many people, but it was just an open thing at this point. Everyone knew what I was, and everyone knew when it was time to party that probably had something on him that he's not supposed to, or call he has this, or you know what I mean. So you try to conceal it and hide it and tell people to keep secrets for you, but say 9 out of the 10 people were keeping the secret for you. They all knew the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they all
probably, just like a web of like,
bro,
not even a secret.
Yeah, and it came to the point where people probably thought I was addicted to it, and I was. And but some people would tell me to stop. Some people would be like, yeah, it's whatever, bro. You take care of your business. Some people, and I would have friends that justified it with me.
Wow.
And I would call and be like, hey, like I did this, and this, but hey, I woke up. I'm good. No, you're fine. So that's kind of what addiction was for me. Just constantly trying to find windows and opportunities to do drugs and alcohol, so I wouldn't get caught or people wouldn't see me.
Yeah. I know it completely alters every decision that you make, dude. Like I've been there. I've definitely gone down I would say a short route of it. I mean, I've had a season of kind of being addicted. I've never really had like an addictive personality. Like that's just not my personality. I don't make very much impulsive decisions.
Yeah.
Like that's just not who I am. But there is certain things out there, like even alcohol, nicotine, or anything else that can be extremely addictive on the
Yeah.
first try, and you're just like, oh, this feels good, but
Yeah.
really it's not the high, right? Like I said earlier, it's just like it kind of numbs my emotions for a bit, and there was a lot of things that I didn't want to face
Right.
that were taking that away.
100%.
And as I matured and got older, then I realized like that's why that was so easy.
Yeah.
You know, that's why that was such an easy escape to go out of. And the more I got older and matured and look back, now I can face the things that I didn't want to face.
Yeah.
Now I can actually walk through them the way that I should be.
Yeah, and kind of to speak to that, it's it was easy to hide and do drugs and be that person. And I want to preface this, and this might be kind of controversial, but I do miss what that rush and that feeling was like. Not that I want to go back to it. I don't want that to be confused. But you do miss that rush, whatever it is, those endorphins that are pumping in your brain, whatever it is, because that's an easy feeling to obtain. It's very easy to go do that and go practice those things
For sure.
and for that brief moment you do feel good. You don't care about anything. And I've had this conversation with one of my brother-in-laws, and it was just a place where I didn't care if people hurt my feelings. I didn't care about anything. As long as I had what I needed and I felt how I felt, I was good. And that part of life was easy. That's why I enjoyed staying in that realm. People see me now, they think I'm a lot more serious. I'm not as quote unquote fun maybe, but it's because I'm at a point in my life where I'm seeing clarity, like I talked about. So that's another realm. But I do want to preface the work that it takes to change and to not, continue those same habits. And I also want to preface, I shouldn't have been doing bad things from the get-go. I get a lot of pats on the back that I'm doing so well, which I am, and I appreciate and I love every person that sees that and
Right.
recognizes it. But I shouldn't have been getting pats on the back for being a degenerate regardless. Does that make sense? Like, I am thankful for everyone in my family and all my friends and my wife and everyone, but I shouldn't have been doing bad things anyways.
Yeah.
If I was a serial killer and I was killing people, you wouldn't say, "Oh, hey, good job, you didn't kill anyone this
Right.
week." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So I do want to preface the work that it takes to change your habits. I prayed a lot. I've been blessed with God's grace on a level that it's hard to explain. But I wasn't just laying down one day and God came through the door and just picked me up and walked me through everything I've been walking through. I've had to genuinely put a lot of effort to wake up, to read my Bible, to ask God to keep me humble, to ask God for gratitude and peace and patience, and practice my fruits. And I make it a point to get to men's group, get to church. The only reason if I don't go to church is I'm working or we're traveling or whatever. But it takes a lot of work to build those friends, that community. Again, though, I shouldn't have been in that place in the first place. But here I am, and that's what I had to do. That's where I had to get to.
Yeah.
So
does it make you feel some type of way when people kind of give you like like good job, like you've been sober?
It feels good. Like I said, I love the praise.
Yeah.
But I still look at all those people that are telling me good job because they see me in a dark place. And I'm appreciative that they haven't left me or they haven't, disconnected with me, because I think they all saw what I could be and what I should be, especially my wife, constantly wanted me to change. And the time she would catch me doing bad things, again, making justifications and excuse after excuse. And my wife gives me a lot of praise. I have a great support system. I have great people in my life and my family. My dad was an alcoholic for 30 plus years. And he he constantly reminds me, God's going to change your life, and God's going to, put things back in your life that you were missing out on when you were, drinking and doing drugs. And he's right. The opportunities I've been opening up and the clarity I have and the way I'm walking and the way I'm practicing, God's work is opening doors in my life that I would have never opened because I was in a place I shouldn't have been. But it doesn't make me feel some type of way. I'm thankful for everyone.
Yeah.
But the way I am and my character, my attitude, I don't like making excuses anymore. I don't like justifying things. I shouldn't have been that way in the first place.
Right.
So
and you realize that,
so
that's a mature thing to realize. So with on let's say a more extreme case than me, because like I said, I've never really had an addictive personality. I've gone down the route, but I've never had like a season of like, oh my God, I just can't stop.
Right.
But in a case like what you've experienced and what I've seen in my family and what I've seen in my other friends as well, addiction is just a wrecking ball of chaos for not only the person that's in addiction, but the people around them.
Pretty much.
So are there people that you've experienced in your road in addiction that you've hurt like extremely, that you've, damaged on the way?
The biggest punching bag that I am ashamed of, is my wife. She's seen me at the bottom. She's caught me doing things I shouldn't have been doing, like I said. And I've probably hurt her immensely. The lies, the drinking, the drugs, I could go on and on and on, and I probably hurt her immensely, and she's still healing from that, and she's still learning to trust me, and I have to work on making sure she does trust me.
Yeah.
When it came to friends, most of my friends are probably up to the same thing I was doing, and I've actually gotten a pretty good, response from them when I tell them I don't partake anymore. So they're good with me. But again, I was trying to hide it a lot. And I've made it more public now that I am sober, and I tell people about what I used to do, and which they kind of look at me a little funny because I'm telling them the truth now.
Yeah.
Which I was in a realm of lying all the time. But again, I probably my wife took most of the emotional punching bag, and then I would say my sister next, because I was I was most open with my sister on what I was doing, and she would always pray for me. It got to the point where my sister wanted to make sure I carried Narcan with me just in case I overdosed.
Wow.
Because she had gotten to the point with me where she knew what I was up to, and at the point she was at, she just wanted to make sure I didn't die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, again, someone justified my behavior, but they were just prepared for me to either overdose and need to use Narcan.
Yeah.
So I think between my wife and my sister, they're the two people that ate it the most. And then my mom knew I drank a lot, and she's seen me go through some of these episodes where I would drink and act belligerent, and again be a wrecking ball and be no regard for anyone but myself. And I know she prays for me daily. Part of one of the nicest people on the planet, and she probably just wanted her son not to be a degenerate.
Yeah.
So between those three women in my life, they've probably taken the most emotional punches from me, and they're all still in my life, and I'm building back all my relationships.
Yeah, which will take time for sure.
Yeah. So, and that's a thing that comes with sobriety. I know I've been to AA before, and I didn't really latch onto it. I didn't latch onto any of the tools really, because there's a point where you can go to rehab, you can go to AA, you can use all these tools, but if you don't want to do it, it doesn't matter. It wasn't until the point where I really, really chose, and I really made the decision that I wanted to be different. My wife would look me straight in the face and say, if you don't stop, then me and my daughter, we're leaving. I would look at her and I wouldn't care. I was okay with that, because that's the addiction, and my justification and the way I was acting, it took precedent over that. And I've been to therapy. I've, again, been to men's groups. Again, those are things that people don't know that I've done in the background to try to get answers. I've looked my therapist straight in the face and said, what is the purpose of you? Like, what are you supposed to fix me?
Wow.
And I've asked her like, why can my wife look me straight in the face and say she's leaving? I don't care. And I worked through some of those things, and I worked through some of those emotional, I don't know, gaps or disconnections.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's good that that's when you talk about it's work, you're actually doing the work that, it's a lot of things that people don't see, but that you're doing that behind the scenes, and that is actual work. Like that's the hard stuff that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Especially like therapy and walking through like those hard emotions, and like asking that question, like, why can I feel like this?
Yeah.
When my wife says something to me like that.
Yeah.
So props to you for doing that, first of all. But when you did start in your season of addiction, have you ever kind of, with your therapist or the person that you talked with about this stuff, was there ever a time that y'all talked about like the, I guess, background behind why you wanted to kind of numb yourself to any feeling? Like, was there any hurt that you haven't like walked through at that time that led you to kind of an addictive situation?
I think I don't have anything huge in my life where it was something that caused me to feel how I felt, or that I was trying to feel. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My dad was hard on me. Maybe a little bit on the verbally, a little harsh.
Yeah.
But I didn't go through any huge life-changing events that like turned me to addiction, which I know happens to people.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that experience. I I don't know. For me, I think it was more on a chemical level, and I was trying to fill a void. I do know this. I'm a very caring and loving and giving person. I think maybe people think different, but I do a lot for people. I give a lot to people, and I think when I wouldn't receive the same like I guess respect or the same emotional like whatever it was. If I didn't get the same back from people, I think that would hurt my feelings, and I wouldn't want to talk about that. And and maybe that was a part of it, but I never went through anything huge that made me be the way I am. I think I just have an addictive personality. That's with anything.
Do you think more personality wise?
Yeah, I think it's a personality deal. Because now I go to the gym. I'm addicted to that, like, and now I do different things. I'm addicted to reading my Bible every morning.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of things in my life, everything I do, either I'm doing it or we're not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Which can be a good thing. You channel in the right direction. That can be a very good thing.
So that's the wave I'm on. But no, to your first question, I never went through anything like I don't think too harsh in my life that made me the way I am.
I've seen both situations. Like sometimes it is just a personality. The impulsive personality is more so what kind of connects to like the addictive side of things, making impulse decisions like, oh, I can do this again, I can do that again. That felt good. Let me do it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen both sides. I don't know. I think it is for me. I think it was more emotional.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't have an addictive personality, so it was more of just like I've been through some things, and I don't really know how to like walk through it. I don't know how to understand it or break it down in my head, so I'm just gonna numb it.
Yeah,
that's the easier out.
And it came natural for me. It came natural for me to be that way because of my personality. And if I was drunk or high and I was in a good mood, people just thought I was fun and the life of the party or whatever it was,
Yeah.
So it was easy for me to hide like that emotion. Like now, probably people think I'm like a zombie and so serious, but I'm really not. I feel like I'm still funny. I feel like I'm still the same dude, but again, it's just that clarity that I'm kind of going through and the clarity that I'm kind of reaching. I can speak on some other emotional like things I've been through. I've been through heartbreak. I've been through deaths in families. I've been through those things. But I think the addiction is what put me in states of mind where I did want to take my life, where I'd be drinking and blacked out, and I let myself drive, where I've almost ran into concrete barriers, poles on the freeway. I'm going 100 miles down 183 at 3 a.m. for no reason, and I get home and I don't know how I got home. And I got buddies telling me that I was being crazy, or I've had guns to my head. My wife sobbing and telling me to stop, and
wow.
And I've been in situations, and I've been at parties and houses and places I shouldn't have been, where I've had guns pointed at me, and I've seen my life, I think, right before my eyes. And I think within all that, the crazy part is I didn't care, and that's an emotion or something I'm still dealing with, because I don't know what disconnect or what's inside me that makes me not really have like the caring emotion. But I have to really work hard on caring. So like on that darker level, I've seen and I've been in places where my life could have been taken. I've almost taken my own life, and I just still didn't care. And I don't contemplate that my wife would miss me or would miss me, or my daughter would miss me, or my mom, or people that do love me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care. I don't know why. Again, I'm still trying to search. I don't care about a lot of things now, but I know what I do care about, and I know what I do need to keep close to me,
Yeah.
And maybe just because I'm 30 and I'm old now, but I don't really want to be going out or doing anything. But I don't care about like certain things, but I'm learning what to care about. I'm learning what's important.
It's a learning. It's something to learn on. And honestly, people can care too much about things.
Yeah.
So maybe that can be even like a benefit. Like you don't care enough about things, but you're going to learn about the things that you should care about.
Yeah.
So that way, those are the only things that you do care about.
Right.
In the total aspect. But so you feel like that's something that you kind of, it's still kind of a struggle now.
Yeah.
It's to have like the care that you should.
Yeah. It's a struggle every day.
Yeah.
I'm working on being a better husband and mending some of the distrust that my wife does have for me. So I got to learn how to care about that. I got to learn how to be patient and to be slow to anger and to practice those fruits. And with my wife, and we argue and we go through things, and I got to learn how to care about that. And that's obviously one thing I should care about. So I'm trying. I'm working on it. And when it comes to my friends and social events, I still go do things. I still care if I think it's worth my time, and
Right.
I want to do it. I'm still smiling. I can still dance. I can still go to bars. I can still do all that stuff. Do I have memories of if I'm in a certain bar, if I was in a certain bathroom, and I go through those things? And yeah, those memories do kind of pop up. But it's to the point now where I don't want to go back to that place. I talked to a mentor before I did this podcast, and he told me that once I kind of bring this out in the open and talk about this, it might be a different spiritual warfare that goes on with me.
Sure.
And then we're texting. I was on the phone. I said, hey, you know what? I'm here for it. And maybe it is that next level I need to take, or maybe he was right, and this is the worst thing I could have done. He didn't say that, but in my head, I was like, maybe this isn't what I was supposed to do. But I woke up this morning with some clarity, and I prayed on it, and I want this to be something that does take me to the next level.
Yeah.
That I continue to work on. And I want to preface also, I'm not perfect. I might mess up tomorrow. I might mess up when I walk out of your house.
Yeah.
But that being said, you're still constantly striving to check those 10 boxes that I'm talking about. You can be a good wife, good husband, so on and so forth. Every day, you just try to check all those boxes. You can't, God doesn't want you to check 9 out of 10, 10 or 6 out of 10. And then you can say, I did good today. He wants you to strive towards walking like him.
Yeah.
So like I said, I do want to preface that. I don't want this to be something where I'm talking and sitting here and I'm boasting on my journey and where I've been and the work I've put in, because it does take a lot of work, does take a lot of energy, but I could mess up. I could mess up here in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to anymore though. And I do want to take this to the next level. And I think it's been on my heart to share with people that there's a place here, and there's people that love you, and there's people that genuinely care about you doing better.
It's really good to have.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it just goes back to what, we were talking about earlier. It's just the connectivity, if you're not connected, and that's like the most important thing. I truly think that that's the answer to addiction. I don't think it's sobriety.
Yeah.
I think it's connectivity.
Yeah.
Being connected to a good community, someone that, like you said, the people that told you over and over, you can be better, you can do better, urging you to come on and do better, come to some events that will put you in a good environment, stuff like that. I think that's the answer to addiction.
Yeah.
I think there was even a study in, I don't know what country it was. I think it was Portugal, something like that. They did a study, or they had an experiment kind of, because they were having like a huge issue with addiction. And what they were doing is pretty much what we're doing here, making it illegal, and the addiction rate was rising. And they came together, they're like, we can't keep going on like this, let's change something. They brought in some people on the board. There were kind of some scientists. They asked them, what can we do? They took all the data they had, they came back, they said, legalize everything. Instead of spending the money on putting people with addictions away, put the money towards people that have addictions to put them back into life. Yeah. So what they did is they had like jobs, like if you can hire this person that has a background, right, we'll pay half of their wages for a year or something like that. And they saw the addiction rate drop like by 50%. Yeah. So it's about like putting them back in connectivity.
Just giving the people the opportunity to like
having the opportunity. It's not putting barriers in between them, and making them have the want to go back to what they, got in trouble with. Yeah. But, before we wrap up this episode, because we're kind of hitting that mark here soon, but I'm curious to know what was kind of like your darkest moment? If you can remember, I'm sure there's, plenty that you can remember, but what was like the monumental dark moment that you knew like, this is just too much?
I don't know if you know if I've shared this complete story with even my wife, or I don't know, a lot of it's kind of something that I just went through by myself. The last time I used drugs and the last time I was drunk and used alcohol, I was in a bathroom stall, and I was using drugs on my phone, and I dropped all over the floor, and so drunk, so high that I was scooping it off the floor with my finger, trying to put it back on my phone, and I was licking my hands, complete degenerate, like just disgust. Yeah. And I was by myself. No one saw me do that. Yeah. But the moment I got home, and the moment, well, to segue to that, I got in a fight with the gentleman that brought me said drugs in the parking lot. And I was worried that he was going to either go to my house, attempt to do something to me. And if that was the case, if someone comes to my house, that's a whole nother realm. I'd probably have to, it sounds horrible, but I'd probably have to kill him, because
Yeah. I mean,
if someone breaks into my house or someone is trying to harm me or my family, that's another.
yeah.
Thank God none of that happened. But to the first original point, I go home. I'm worried about that. The next day, I'm sitting there thinking, I see my daughter, I see my wife, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if someone recorded me, if someone had a camera and recorded me and showed that to my daughter, like, look at your dad, look at what your dad's doing.
Wow.
Like, what would she think? And I've had this conversation with my wife. Not that I didn't want to change for my wife, but my daughter, she didn't choose to be born into this life. I made that decision with my wife. I made that decision to bring my daughter into this life.
Yeah.
My bad, bro.
You're good. You're good too.
And when she looks at me and she said, like, I love you, daddy, and things like that, she deserves to have a sober dad, and a dad that's not addicted to drugs, because she didn't choose me. I chose her. God put her in my life.
Yeah.
And I got to make sure that I'm available. I got to make sure that if someone does break in or something happens, I'm not passed out drunk, and I can make sure I can take care of her and my wife.
Yeah.
I think that last time I used drugs and that last moment I went through, I just imagined someone showing my daughter a video of me doing those things. And there's been other dark moments that I brushed off, but I think that last time, and just knowing that part, and I don't know why that video came to my head, like playing that video, like if someone showed her, like it was just bad. I was down bad, bro. I was overweight. You made a joke that you said I look a little young now. I looked like I hadn't slept in days. And again, it comes from a humble place. It comes from a place of just wanting to be better. I don't want anyone to think that I'm some sort of perfect walking, gentleman in Christ now. It's work every day. And I want people to know that people love you, and you can beat addictions, and you can beat alcoholism, and you can beat anything that you want to. And it's because of God's grace.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
And it takes work, and it takes love, and it takes people. Again, I've been in jail before for DWI. I've almost been caught doing this. I've almost been caught doing that. Luckily, I've never been in the place where I have a felony or I've been caught with drugs. I used to sell drugs, do drugs, everything under the sun that you could think of, I've done. And God's grace and the Holy Spirit has just delivered me into a place where I can still have a family. I can still have friends. I haven't gotten drunk and killed someone by accident.
Yeah.
In a car accident. So I do want to make sure that that's out there, and that's known, that people love you and people care, and people don't want to see you down bad.
Yeah.
And the house and you and Kenneth and people I've met, they really made sure that I felt wanted, and I feel like they genuinely care. So sorry,
That's awesome, bro.
I know I got out on another.
No, you're good, bro. I'm
there.
so glad that you can, be vulnerable like that. I'm a vulnerable person.
Yeah.
I really, really am. So when people can get vulnerable like that, I can appreciate that in a different way. But I feel honored. I really do. I feel honored that I can be a part of your story. I can be a part of your journey that you're going on. And let me just attest to what everybody else has been telling you. Like, you do have potential, bro. Like, there is extreme potential on your life. And I'm sure by now you understand that, because what you've experienced, what you've got out of, and, all the things that you've experienced in this short time of 5-6 months.
Yeah.
So I think that episode right there, what you just told me, that was your last time.
Yeah. That was the last time I used drugs and alcohol.
My last time was something, it shook my roots as well.
Yeah.
It was like I was on my way back home from a long night of doing drugs, and I heard in my chest, like, stop. And I was driving home, and I was like, what the heck is that? I have to stop, And I felt it in my chest. I felt it on my head. Like, I felt it in my body. It wasn't something I heard in my ears, like in my body.
Yeah.
I just heard stop. And obviously, like, I know now that was God's voice. Like, God was telling me, like, you better stop. Like, this is serious. And that shook me up. Never did it again after that. But I think moments like that, that's God showing you. It's no coincidence that you had that vision of that happening with your daughter. And I think it goes to show you have more to life than what you're living. And obviously your daughter means more to you than, that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's why you've kind of been shown that this glimpse. You've kind of been shown, like, there's more for you on the other side. Like, let's turn around, let's stop doing this, and let's go to the other side.
Yeah.
So props to you for listening to God. Props to you for staying committed in this short amount of time. I believe that you're going to be going on for many, many years. There's definitely a call in your life, bro.
Yeah,
There's definitely a call. There's definitely a reason you went through all this stuff. You know, the enemy doesn't attack the people that aren't dangerous, you know. So and you have a testimony. I have a testimony as well of getting, you know, I don't know if we've ever shared my testimony with you, but it could be for another story. But the testimony that I've gone through, or the trials that I've gone through, are my tools now to relate with people.
Right.
They're my tools to talk with people. And even like in this situation right now, like I've been in somewhat of a situation of addiction, so I can relate with you on a certain level.
Yeah.
So just in that manner, bro, and you're gonna be able to help other people that have gone through this and get them through it. Other people that think that there's no way out, you're gonna be able to say there is, bro. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, I've been on the other side. But yeah, bro, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming out here, bro. I know it was a little bit of a drive for you.
Right, I'm accustomed to it.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you inviting me and having me on, and I just hope, you know, this touches someone. And, I don't know how many viewers you get. Hopefully you get a bunch, bro. And hope you know, blow up. But
hopefully, bro.
I just hope it touches someone and just let someone know that, you know, you're loved. God loves you, and we're all sinners. Yeah. And we're all walking, trying to just be the best that we can be and walk just like God would want us to. So nothing is, you know, nothing's too big or no burden's too large that you can be better and you can try to do better. So, and you can mess up again and again. You can just keep striving to be better. Yeah. So
it's your want, it's your dedication. Yeah. It's, you know, it's your drive to keep going in the right direction. Yeah. And you're on that path right now, bro. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of you, bro. I think that you should be proud of yourself too. Yeah. You're going in a good direction.
No, I appreciate it.
Keep going, bro. But thank you so much, bro. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. If this inspired you, if there's somebody in your life that you can think of that is struggling with any type of addiction, it doesn't even have to be drugs or alcohol, but in any type of means, please share this with them. Maybe this will help them out. Maybe this will give them a new sense of hope, a new understanding that there is a way out. There is another way. There is a better way of living. And just like my friend Conrad said here, he's kind of living in a new way. And the Bible literally tells us that through Christ, we're new creations. So taking that and understanding that other people can know, like we can be new creations, we can live a completely different life on the other side of that. So if this does inspire you, please send it to somebody. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Thank you again, Conrad, for coming.
You're welcome,
and sharing that amazing story. Thank you for being bold about it. Yes, sir. And just being open and vulnerable in that conversation. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Yep. Well, thank you guys. Until then, we'll see you again on another gray area episode or segment. But until then, see things from a higher view. Peace out, guys.